Hey, in this video we're going to make something that looks like these Egypt pyramids but out of voxels, out of cubes. So I showed the setup in a previous video, but all you really need in the video description, there's a script called VoxelTools, and also in Assets, a folder called Resources, capital R, and inside just a cube, and then you can get started. So right click, create, C# script, we're going to call it Voxel Pyramid, and open that up. Alright, so we don't need updates, we only need start. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a kind of a ring of cubes, or like a square of cubes. Or I guess I'll draw this. It's going to look like this. And because we're going to make a hollow pyramid out of cubes. Because if I made it full with cubes, even though you don't see them, Unity still has to figure out how to draw them. And especially on my computer, it's not going to be the best time. So we're going to make something like this happen just once. And then we're going to make this repeat a few times, but with a different size. And when we stack these all up, if I make this one, and then I make another, that's maybe smaller, and you stack it on top of there, you can see how that might turn into a pyramid. So first we need a length. I'm going to set it to 10. And if this is one of those squares made out of cubes, then this is the edge length, and this will be length. It'll be half the edge length. That's just how my loops will work out. So we're going to have a 20 by 20 square. Now we need two for loops. Int x. X will start at negative length. This loop will keep happening as long as x is less than length. And x++, it will go up by 1. I'm going to copy this for z. And now, we're going to open this up here. Actually, just to be clear, I'll open that too. So now, right in here, instead of just making a bunch of cubes, this would actually, if I just made a cube, it would just fill in everywhere. I only want to make the cubes on the edges. And that's when that's when x here is equal to negative length, or when x is equal to positive length, or when z is equal to negative length, or when z is equal to positive length, because this is our origin. So this coordinate, say, up here, this is going to be something like, 817, or for the x, and then the z, which is kind of like the y in this case, that's going to be length, which, in this case, we know that that's 10. So at this point, yes, we're going to make a cube. So I'm going to check if if the absolute value of x is equal to length, or the absolute value of z is equal to length. So that'll do it. If that's true, VoxelTools make cube at x and 0 for now, and z. So I'll save that. Right now it's just a text file on our computer, so click one of these things here. Add component voxel pyramid, and press play, see where we are. Okay, it made we're getting there, right? But it didn't make the whole thing. And what happened here? Well, it didn't make this edge here, and that's because it's never going to be positive length, because it stops there. So right here, if x equals length, this isn't true, it's not going to do it. So we got to do an equals. So it'll go one higher. Alright, so there's our square. So now we just need to make this again, but one higher and one tinier. Like the length will be smaller too. So here's our code that does that. Whoops. Here's our code that does that. And we want this to happen many times. So we're going to wrap everything around another for loop. First, we're going to do max height. Let's say the height will go up to 10. And we're going to make that for loop that's going to wrap around everything here. For, we're going to have a height. We'll start at 0. Height will be less than max height. And the height will go up by 1. And then close that in. Now, the trick here is length now has to change. We don't want to just make the same thing, but a little higher. You know, each time we go up, this thing is going to get smaller, and then smaller, and then smaller. So the length is going to be decreasing by 1 each time. So how's that going to work? Well, if height is 0, so if we're at this base one, it's actually going to be the biggest length. So max height is the biggest length, let's say. And then we're just going to subtract height. Whoops. Subtract height. So max height will be 10 minus 0. And then it will be 10 minus 1. And then 10 minus 2. And so each time we go through this height, length is going to get smaller and smaller. So we'll save that and we'll see what it does. Okay, it's close, but it's on the floor. Got to raise it up a little bit. So we had 0 right here. We don't want 0 anymore. We want it to be height. So we are inside a pyramid now. So if I pause it and zoom out, there we go. So this doesn't look quite, it's a pyramid. The colors are wrong, and all the cubes are perfect. We're aiming more for something like this. So let's get the colors right, and the size will randomly change a bit. So we can do that here. So here's where we decide, yes, we're going to make a cube. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. So the color, it's going to be a new color. And you can give this 3 numbers for red, green, and blue. So orange, random. Orange is very red. So it's a number from 0 to 1. So I'm going to say it's from 0.8 to 1. And F is just, means there's a decimal number in it. So a .5, or it's not a whole number, but you got to put that in. The green, well, orange is kind of green. It just is, believe me. 4, I guess, to 6. And orange is not blue at all. Okay, so there's our random color. It's going to be fairly orange, but a little different each time. And what was the other thing? Oh, the size. Yes. So the way I made it work in Voxel Tools Make Cube, you just need a float for size. Right now it's 1. So let's just make it a number from 1 to 1.3. And I don't really want to go less than 1 because then there's going to be gaps in the pyramid. So you just add another comma. It's asking for color, give it color. It's asking for a size, give it size, and save that. Okay, so there's our pyramid. I'm stuck inside. I'm going to pause it. That's not bad. I find it kind of looks like this a bit. That's cool. And one last thing I'm adding for fun in my videos is I'm just going to check every frame 60 times a second if I'm pressing Q. If I am, make all the cubes fall. Or in this case, I think it might explode because they're definitely overlapping a bit. So we'll see what happens. Q! Boom! Awesome. So that's how you make a pyramid out of cubes. It's actually a pretty nice looking pyramid. What happens if I kill it?